thing. Oh, welcome to the podcast, everyone. I am your host, Greg Chatmendy, along with my equestrian co-host, Gavin Modrizzle. Yes, you're a horse. Today we'll be going over this. I don't think either of us want to, but we should. We would go over this, but nah. Doesn't matter anymore. So, I say we don't do this one or this one. Is it the guy that blocked the punt for the Niners? Is that who you're trying to look for? Oh, I know who you're talking about. I don't remember his last name either, but I know who you're talking about. All right. So the Packers, you see, the Packers' biggest problem here is that they didn't put the Niners away. It's like they let the Niners stay in it long enough, and like all it took was for the Packers to make pretty much one more mistake, and then the entire momentum shifted to the Niners, and the Packers were pretty much dead to rights. After the first drive of the game, they disappeared. If special team was a miss, the game score, I guess technically 0, but you know, like it's like. Say that punt never happened, right? In theory, the score is, and the field goal block, the score is 3-13. Instead, it's 13-10, and San Fran wins this game. And what a way for Green Bay to go out. And Aaron Rodgers' probable last game as a Packer, along with Nathaniel Hackett's last game as a Packer, along with Darius Smith's last game as a Packer, along with Devontae Adams' last game. You get the premise. The Packers lost their moment the only way they know how, by losing to an NFC West team in the playoffs. Nah, they lost. But they got a consolation trophy anyway. Ah. Congratulations. You... Oh. The Bears are like, well, it was a quarterback coach for the Packers, and, you know, they had Aaron Rodgers, and he's pretty well, so let's just make him our OC. Naturally, of course. You know, the people are making fun of the Packers for only winning 2 titles with back-to-back Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Let's not look at, like, the 90s Oilers to, like, the mid-2000s Titans. Let's just not pay attention there. But, nevertheless, the fact that there was so much the Packers had, and they had such an open window, and it felt like they just continuously waited for the window to get even more open, and, like, they just felt like they just didn't want to go through the window because they felt it was still too small. And then now the window was finally the widest it was ever been, but they had taken too much time and they just shut on them. And Yeah. Well, to be fair, Andrew Luck wasn't around very long, but I guess neither was McNair by my comment earlier. Rest in peace, Steve McNair, of course. Andrew Luck's did stuff for the national championship game. Whatever. It was just a bad week for any team playing at home, unless you were the Chiefs, like the Tennessee Titans. Well, Alden's, Gavin, you just put the mic on me. I'm gonna go on a 20-minute rant. You see, the Titans, like the Packers, had every single opportunity to win this game. Now, I'm going to go over to you right now every way the Titans could have won this game. I'm going to start with number one. You give Devontae Foreman more than 5 carries when Derrick Henry's just learning how to run with a metal plate in his foot. And Devontae Foreman just looked better that game. He was just more explosive, had the burst that Henry just didn't have because he wasn't used to planting. Number two. Yeah, that'll hurt you. Number two, really weird play calling. I don't feel like people are talking about this enough in the Titans loss because they're more just blaming Ryan Tannehill, which I'll get to later. But the play calling was really weird. The first play of the game, they run a play action pass and just 4 people running not even crossers, curl routes. I'm like, what? That's like making up yardage to make a more reasonable third down type play. And of course, Tannehill threw a pick on it. The only pick I will blame him for, because that was a terrible, terrible pick. It was directly to Jesse Bates. I don't know what was going on there. But the Titans just couldn't get drives done when they needed to. Their defense was phenomenal, tying the record for playoff sacks in a game with 9. The Titans the Titans defense was absolutely phenomenal. The Titans defense were I know it's weird to say, but the Titans defense were fun to watch because they were just always in the backfield. It felt like they were dominant there, and it wasn't you know what I mean. They were constantly making plays, and it was exciting to watch in that sense. Amani Hooker caught a interception. Amani Hooker got targeted a lot, and I know he actually played a pretty solid game, all things considered. Normally he's terrible in coverage. He's more of a watch someone catch the ball, then tackle them type of guy and hope they drop it. But this game he played actual coverage. He got an interception, which wasn't his. It was a great catch and all, but he didn't cover him. All the Titans need to do was to capitalize really on any of the 3 drives they threw a pick. The Titans pretty much had this game won until Nick Westbrook-Akina, and I don't know if people are like, "Man, can you threw that pick?" Well, you see, there's a reason why some people are arguing that receivers should get charged for interceptions. Because the ball doinks off the hands of Nick Westbrook-Akina, just bonk, and then right into the hands of Logan Wilson. And that ended the game for the Titans, because they could have just thrown to Jamar Chase forever, and he's going to be open. I don't know why the Bengals didn't do that all game, because what corner do we have? It was more just single coverage with Kevin Byard, and the corner was also there. The Bengals actually schemed pretty well for this game, besides the fact how their team doesn't pass block. They found where Kevin Byard is and threw the ball the other way. The entire game, Kevin Byard was almost never near the play because they just went the other direction. And that's why Amani Hooker was so involved in that game, because he's the other safety. Christian Fulton was not there. He can't tackle, which is pretty much common knowledge. He just doesn't tackle. So if someone catches the ball over him, it's going to be a big play. Janoris Jenkins was on the side of Byard most of the time. So we didn't have to deal with that problem. But the story really... I'm like, did you watch any of the regular season? All he does is get torched, and then, like... Fulton also has problems with just, like, knowing where he's supposed to be in coverage at times. But the Titans just had the game won. They just couldn't get it done. That's fair, but I feel like Derek Carr's was worse than Tannehill's. Well, it was like, like quarterback decision wise. Like realistically, I probably wouldn't have thrown it to Nick Westbrook-Ikhine and maybe Julio Jones or AJ Brown, but I would did you remember that AJ Brown catch? Like no one's gonna talk about that, but that was ridiculous. Tannehill put it in absolutely the tightest window known to man in double coverage, and AJ Brown just catches it with one hand casually. But because they lost, that doesn't matter. And while I think the Titans are probably still playoff contenders, I don't know if they're still Super Bowl contenders because their line's aging. We pay Harold Landry. We have a huge need at corner, which teams are going to start noticing. Ryan Tannehill's aging. Derrick Henry's aging and coming off a huge foot injury. Julio Jones is aging. AJ Brown is still there, but like they don't really have anything outside of that receiver-wise. And the offensive coordinator sucks. Screw you, Todd Downing. I'm just waiting for the Falcons to fire Arthur Smith so we can have him back. It'll happen. Like give me like a year or two. Let's talk about this game last because it was. Let's talk about this one last because it was a good game. I can tell. I guess Gavin didn't watch much of this game. So I watched the entire thing because Gavin didn't, even though my eyes were really bad and strained, so there's no podcast last weekend. I watched this entire game, and the Rams were dominant. The Bucks couldn't do anything on offense. They weren't even like it was a terrible game. It was a terrible called game by Brian Leftwich and the Jets guy. I think that game single-handedly ruined Todd Bowles' chances of getting a head coaching job. Because, like, it just showed how one-dimensional his defense truly is. If the blitz doesn't get home, they lose. Even at the end of the game, they're still blitzing. What are you doing? The game pretty much started and ended in the same way, with a blown coverage where Carlton Davis forgot to cover Cooper Kupp. And in classic Bucks fashion, a former Bucks kicker eliminated them from the playoffs. Now, the Bucks are pretty much in the same place as the Titans and Packers, as they don't know what they're going to be next season, because they have a bunch of free agents, a pretty solid defense, especially in the front seven, but you don't know who's going to be there, who's not. Question marks at quarterback. Yeah, but it's just more age. It's more of an age problem. Like I think the average age of your D line is like 33. Like God. Like their corner's a problem for them. Like let's be honest, the robot arm is probably not good enough to be a CB1 or CB2. Like Jamel Dean isn't also that, most likely. Like, safety is a huge problem, especially on the other side of Antoine Winfield. But well, they are, because your corners suck. So that doesn't mean the safeties are good. You probably have like average safeties. Antoine Winfield's really good, but whoever the safety of the week that plays next to him is. It's most of the time Jordan Whitehead, though. The Bucks came back into this game after the Rams were blowing them out, just because Cam Akers decided that holding on to the ball was overrated. Cooper Kupp fumbled once, and for once you'd think it was Matt Stafford throwing picks that lost the game, but no, it was the other players on the offense causing turnovers. The Rams gave the Bucks a chance to come back into this game just to stomp on their heart one more time. And then they proceeded to not let people outside of Los Angeles buy tickets to the conference championship game. Good job, Rams. Fun fact, you know they lifted that ban. They lifted that ban, Gavin, after all the tickets sold out. Yeah, the Rams are really trying to milk this for all they got. They're in serious cap hell, so they're like, how are we gonna pay all these players? Charge $500 for someone to sit in the parking lot. Of course, in this game, we featured the NFC Offensive Player of the Week in Matthew Stafford, not Cooper Kupp. If Cooper Kupp didn't fumble, he would have gotten it, but oh well. Now let's talk about probably the best game all season. It's that our Chargers Raiders, like that was also really good. But this, like, there's a small lull in this game after, like, we got a glimpse of what was to come in the first two drives. And there's just a lull of nothing for a little bit, and the Chiefs were like, oh, we're back. And the Bills were like, haha, but we are too. And then they both just kind of did that for a while. Actually, you can pretend none of this game happened until, like, the last, 3 minutes. Because a combined like 22 total points were scored in that time period. 25, that's what it is. I think that is ridiculous. Gabriel Davis went God mode, scoring 4 touchdowns for playoff record. Congratulations, Gabriel Davis. Round of applause. Somehow the Bills thought that a team with 3 timeouts just wouldn't throw over the middle when there was 13 seconds left, and somehow the Chiefs the Bills probably could have won this game. I feel like that's a theme with all these teams. Everything that could have won lost because of dumb coaching errors. Oh, I have been disconnected from the Madden servers. All right, well, sick. Oh, deleted it entirely. It doesn't exist.
You have to go back.
Oh, for Christ's sake, I hate this game. Oh wait, no, I'm not signed out. It's just gone. We love this game. Well, the theme, all these teams could have won, but none of them did because of crucial coaching errors and Josh Allen losing the first coin toss of his career. Now, people are demanding that the not playoff overtime, just general overtime rules are changed in the NFL. To which I disagree, because then we get stuff like Illinois, Penn State, and no one wants that. Like, imagine Lions Steelers went on for another 7 overtimes. Exactly. And that's my point. I think the touchdown and it's over thing really, because I feel like people forget that how important like defense is. Like, if your defense isn't good enough to stop the other team's offense for them to not score a touchdown in that drive, then you lose. Your defense has to step up, just like how the offense has to step up to score on your drive to make sure you don't lose the game. It's the same concept.
So, I think one thing needs to be changed. I think there needs to be like a little like, like you have half time between overtime and the like when you're doing overtime, you need like a break of some sort. That's just a full test. Because those TVs and pretty much everyone is gassed by the end of the game. Because you put out all your effort in that, so there needs to be a break. Sometimes the TVs don't get every focus
I would say that's fine for any time but the regular season, because in the regular season you have like TV schedules and stuff you have to deal with because you have to go into the next game, so there's an issue there. But like the playoffs, you don't have those time constraints. I am fairly confident that CBS would not have minded if they got another ad break out of this game. I'm sure they would have been entirely cool with it. Because that would have gained them another like not $10,000, probably like another like $1 million. It was such a great game, and you know what, Bills fans, probably see you next year, and the same thing will happen. Realistically, you're the Bills, same old, same old. Yeah, it just kind of happens. And here we find our offensive players of the week for the AFC. And honorable mention to Gabriel Davis, but like I said, the award can't go to someone whose team's lost. So I'm giving it to Tyreek Hill. Who do you want me to give it to? Mahomes, Travis Kelce? Like, Travis Kelce would also make sense, but like either, well, Hill scored the touchdown that made that. Then the Bills drive happen, and then Kelce. So it's a toss-up either way. Either one of them really. Just yeah, probably Mahomes would make the most sense. But I don't want to give it to another quarterback. The quarterback got one on the other side. True. But where does this leave us for this week, Evan? We have Bengals, Chiefs, Rams, Niners. Now I'm going to tell you what I want and what I think is going to happen. I think I probably want Chiefs, Rams, but I think somehow I'm going to stumble into Chiefs, Niners. It's because it's the Cowboys. Like, come on, it's the Cowboys in the playoffs. Cowboys in the playoffs. Alright, quick complaint real quick. For all of you that want Niners Bengals, this isn't week 9 of the regular season. We don't need a mid-tier playoff contender matchup right now. That's not what we need. That's not a good Super Bowl. Sorry, I just had to complain. I wouldn't watch it. Because... yeah, I'll just watch the highlight reel at that point. Like, I tune in for the halftime show because that looks sick. But other than that, you're just born to watch. Unless Debo has the ball, no one cares. The only time the Niners are exciting to watch is when Debo has the ball in his hands.
Trey Lance knows what to do, though. Have him start.
I would also like to point out, going back to the Packers-Niners game, Jimmy G, well, Jimmy G didn't do anything, but technically Jimmy G with an injured shoulder and finger in his throwing arm beat Aaron Rodgers completely healthy. Well, I guess Aaron Rodgers has a toe problem, but rest in peace. Hope he recovers soon. But that's our podcast. Kind of short. There's not much to talk about. We made it long enough, probably. Yeah, we'll go over the entire coaching thing, and when every single team has a coach, we can go over it, and we can rank them because we need content, Gavin. I don't think you realize how hard it is going to be for us to get content from now until draft season. It's Heinz Ward or Josh McCown all the way, baby.
I could see it.
I could see the Niners just getting bored and saying, "Screw it, we're getting rid of John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan." And then they'd suck for like 5 years, and they'd come back and be exactly what they are again. The cycle of the Niners. Anyways, guys, that's the end. If you disagree with any of our opinions, we don't care, but you can tell us anyway. If you like the podcast, like and subscribe. We do them whenever the fuck. Fridays or Saturday nights. Really, really just whenever we feel like it. And this is Chatmendy along with my